rocking right into having Bill Charlap on the line. Bill, welcome to WPFW.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here with you.
Oh, this is really thrilling for me too. Alec Wilder, you picked a tune of his to perform. Why him?
Well, Alec Wilder is one of the great songwriters in the constellation of popular songwriters. Very unique writer who wrote songs like I'll Be Around, and as you said before, Trouble is a Man, It's So Peaceful in the Country, While We're Young, and many, many others, Moon and Sand. But Wilder was an interesting figure because he was both songwriter, classical composer. He was a writer of words on music. He wrote probably the most important book that was ever written on American popular song. And so Wilder was a really interesting figure. And I love his music and love his songs, and that's why.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have his book for decades, in fact, and found it really enlightening. It was really marvelous. Well, speaking of American popular song, you grew up in a household that was very much associated with popular song and a very musical family. Tell us about your growing up in New York and your family.
Well, my father was the great songwriter Moose Charlap, who's most famous for the score of Peter Pan, the Mary Martin Peter Pan songs like I Won't Grow Up, I've Got a Crow, I'm Flying, Tender Shepherd. My mother is a great singer. She was Grammy nominated in the 60s, sang with Benny Goodman, was a regular on the Perry Como show, appeared on the Ed Sullivan show, and she's just a great pop singer of her generation, which means that she's a singer of standards who swings.
And what was that, growing up in that environment, must have been just so stimulating. Tell us about that.
Well, many of the great songwriters and composers were close friends of my parents, and I didn't know as a young child that my Uncle Yip was Yip Harburg, for instance.
Oh, wow, okay.
So,
Jeez, that's marvelous.
Yeah.
That's marvelous. So, but you know, you've established yourself, you know, as in your early career as a mainstream jazz artist, performing with some major participants in this great art form. Tell us about some of the people you worked with as you were coming up.
Well, I was very fortunate to work with the great Jerry Mulligan for a number of years. And Jerry was such a great musical thinker. And as an improviser, of course, baritone saxophonist, an iconic sound and force in the music, also as an arranger and also as a composer. So it was Mulligan, and after Jerry Mulligan, I was with Phil Woods for about 15 years, and I don't think there's ever been anyone who upheld a higher standard of excellence than Woods.
Absolutely. Phil Woods is just phenomenal in terms of, you know, the discipline that he brought to the music was so important.
One of the all-time giants. So I've been very lucky. I've played with so many of my heroes, from Clark Terry and Benny Carter to Houston Person and Barbra Streisand and Tony Bennett. Just many, many, many people. Jim Hall. So many people. It's hard to name everybody. But with Kenny Washington and Peter Washington, it really is very, very special in that we are, we're each other's peers. And, you know, you learn as much from your peers as you do from your masters.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you anticipated my question about Kenny and Peter. It's really...
We're together for 23 years, wow. And also, by the time we got together, I was in my late 20s. So Kenny and Peter were already in their 30s and 40, and had worked with Dizzy Gillespie and Tommy Flanagan and Milt Jackson and just about everybody that there is. So we brought to this group, we were very long on experience, although we were still a younger group. And I think the chemistry was instant, and we still love playing together after 23 years. I can't believe that much time has gone by, but the joy of it is that we still challenge each other, and that the music is still fresh and new every night, every set, every tune.
That's really marvelous. And so you're going to be working at Todd Barkan's Keystone Corner in Baltimore this weekend, and it's very, very trying times, and it's really remarkable to see Todd, keeping it going, having the club at, with all the space he has there's a safe distance for live performance, and he's just what an incredible career that he's had to be.
There's no word that could describe Todd better than the word champion. He's truly a champion of the music, and he's a champion personally as a human being, and really is a very special human being and a special champion of this music, someone who has devoted his entire life to advancing and celebrating the artist that he loves so deeply. So we're very lucky, and Baltimore is very lucky to have Todd Barkan there, creating one of the beacons of this music in the entire world as far as performing arts organizations for this music.
Absolutely. I'm going to go back a few years to ask you.
And also, I must tell you this also. The club is a groove. It feels great. The food is great.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a great feeling in the room. It's not just, there's nothing stuffy about it. At the same time, it's serious, but in its respect of the music, but there's nothing about it that isn't also a joyous party at the same time.
Absolutely. No, I'm going to come back to talk a little bit more about Keystone Corner, but I have a question about a personal friend of mine and how you associated with the self-produced albums of my late friend Keeter Betts, his Bass Buddies and Blues and Blues 2, whatever. Tell us about how that connection was made for you.
Keeter Betts is the essence of this music. I mean, this man was such a beautiful spirit, such a beautiful heart, not to mention a master musician, one of the greatest bass players ever, a real hero of this music. And he was such a giving person, and I was very lucky. He heard me play, and we became friends, and he championed me very early on and made me feel... because I admired and respected him so much that how lucky I was to be championed by him. It gave me a confidence, and he was that kind of a giver. So that's my story with Keeter. I miss him.
I do too, absolutely. He was just so remarkable. And I did some programs at the Smithsonian where I involved other artists to come in and teach a little bit and play a little bit, including the late Andrew White, who was incredibly hilarious and complex with his description of improvisation. But Keeter was the best teacher I've ever encountered about the music.
I'm not surprised.
It was not, and he was not an academic, no advanced degree or anything like that, but he was just incredible about how he could explain the music, whether it was to kids or to adults. And
academic or not, while other people were studying music history, Keeter was making music history.
He was absolutely a part of it. Well, you not only grew up in a musical household, but you are in a musical household right now. So tell us about the other pianist.
Well, Rini Rosnitz is one of the greatest pianists and composers in this music, too. She's my wife, and she's my partner, and she's just... absolutely amazing. I'm in awe of her genius all the time.
Uh-huh.
She was the pianist of choice for, more iconic and important jazz musicians and American musicians than I can count. A short list includes Wayne Shorter, Joe Henderson, J.J. Johnson, Ron Carter, James Moody, Bobby Hutcherson.
Well, yes.
What can I say?
Absolutely.
And a great leader in her own right.
Absolutely. We've been featuring the collective, the woman collective Artemis.
Yes.
That she's a part of, and I'll get into that later on in the show. But I guess back to the point of this discussion is your performance up at Keystone Corner up in Baltimore. Tell us about the set times and when they can come to the performances.
Well, Hang on just one moment there. It's at 7:30, and there'll be two sets starting at 7:30. Keystone Corner is at 1350 Lancaster Street, and the phone number is 410-946-6726. And streaming tickets can be found at www.keystonecornerbaltimore.com. Now that's Keystone, Keystone, corner with a K.
Absolutely.
Korner, Baltimore.
Fantastic. So it's Friday and Saturday are the nights that you're playing there? And you're going to have your trio with you, right? Is that what the deal is?
I most certainly will.
Peter and Kenny are coming. Peter Washington, Kenny Washington with Bill Charlap.
Yes.
Bill, it's been an absolute delight to talk with you. I think I have Autumn in New York queued up from the Village Vanguard. And then I'm going to do something that you did with Keeter to make sure that folks hear what you did 2 years ago with my friends. So we have something from that album too, and I got Artemis queued up in the next set. Folks, again, Keystone Corner, 1350 Lancaster Street up in Baltimore. Phone numbers 410-946-6726. Bill Charlap, thanks again for calling in tonight, and we'll be checking out your performance streaming as I'm down here in Washington. Thanks again.
Thanks so much.